The anemone tendrils you see in the test really just are Sully's hair. The hairs are fatter, they're a different color, they're tapered at the end, and they're being pulled up instead of pushed down by gravity, and they're waving around. Other than that, it's really just hair. The final anemone was much more complicated than that. Each tendril is really a cloth sac. There's a lot more control over how they move, and of course they look completely different. The tendrils getting out of the way of the little ball as it goes through is an automatic thing. Nobody had to animate that. The simulation just does that. Most of the time, once you get it set up, that works pretty well, but sometimes, well, I really don't want this tendril here, I have to get out of the way.
There were definitely some situations where the tendrils around the characters didn't do the right thing just out of the simulation. So Cameron Miyazaki, one of our new guys, we gave him the challenge of animating the tendrils. He animated them beautifully well, and that's what you see in the film today. 99% simulation and 1% animation. And look up at the moon. Just like tonight.
And we lived on a big house on the edge of the lake.
No, we're smart.
But it was surrounded by billions of hungry sharks.
No, just some seaweed. And a clam. Happily next to a roaring volcano.
A volcano? Really?
No, it was a regular house on a regular roof. It was just for filthiness.
What did I look like?
Well, you were so little, I could put you in my fit.
I remember somebody looking at me. What did Mommy look like?
She was fairly pretty.
And then the ocean took Mommy away.
That's right, it did.
To light the reef, it takes probably about 10 broad lights, but then when you add the characters, it could take up to 100 or more. There's a key light, which is kind of an overall bright light that determines the direction of the light. There'll be the caustic light, the dancing light on the ground that's coming through the water. There's also a bounce light, usually from the sand. It's kind of a low-level bounce coming back up onto your props and fish. There'll be an overall kind of bluish fill. There's the murk and the fog lights. And when you put all those together, you get this gorgeous-looking reef.
Well, I do know one that's pretty good. A mollusk swims up to it. No, he doesn't swim up. He was already there. And a sea cucumber is standing next to him. They don't stand, they grow in one place, but they do lean. Let me start over. There was a sea mollusk and a sea cucumber. And they were like friends. No, they didn't know each other. Because now one's going to ask something that a friend wouldn't know. The sea cucumber looks over at the mollusk.
Aiden.
Right? And he doesn't really look, he sort of glances. Actually, he was in the middle of a sneeze. Yeah. That's sort of the important thing, because you've got to imagine a sea cucumber sneezing. So he sneezes, and then you know the way you do when you sneeze, your head sort of turns accidentally somewhere. So he looks over to the right, and he sees the mollusk. And so he looks at the mollusk, and he says, hey, not during low tide. You know, I didn't get that exactly right. See, let me tell you something. The mark of a really funny fish, the joke doesn't have to go exactly right. It's delivery!
Back in A Bug's Life, we discovered that presenting nature on screen meant simplification. We went diving, and we discovered that a coral reef could be broken down into 3 simple ideas. Tall vertical things, big flat horizontal things, and round masses. So if you ignore the ground plane and the ceiling that is the ocean surface, you could have a 3-dimensional environment where you had those 3 ideas that you could present to an audience. That was our formula for constructing the coral reef.
Nemo? Mr. Ray? Nemo! Mr. Ray!
My son was about 5. So this would have been about 98, I think. And I have not seen him a lot because of a lot of work on Bug's Life. And so I wanted to spend some time with him. So I said, let's go take a walk. And so my little 5-year-old and we went up and we were just going to walk down about 2 blocks to the park. And And I thought, oh, some father-son time. And I spent the whole walk just going, oh, stay away from the door. Don't touch that. You don't know where that's been. Oh, careful from that. Oh, there's a car. Oh, be careful. Careful with that branch. And then I just spent the whole time correcting him and overprotective and making sure he didn't get hurt. And I just remember this other part of myself, watching myself going, you are just losing every opportunity. You're just missing out right now on being present with your son. And I couldn't stop thinking about that. And I thought, geez, here I am just wanting so badly to be a good father, yet I'm not achieving that. And so I thought, what a ironic dilemma. I thought, fear can deny a good father from being one. And that intrigued me. And that became the missing link to putting all the pieces together for what ultimately became Finding Nemo. Okay, so like this really panicked little chicken fish. When you see Nemo swimming out all the way, you just go, just whatever comes to mind, Kathy, whatever comes to your mind, that's what you think that character would be, just shut it out, just let it out.
Oh my gosh! Nemo's swimming on the sea!
Yeah!
Yay! Whoop, whoop, whoop!
We'll use that.
And so he's out there swimming, and it's getting later and later. He's been asking fish after every fish, excuse me, have you seen my dad? Have you seen him? Have you seen my son? Look at my son. He's on this boat. But nobody will help him. Nobody at all. The rest of the gang are all behind Nemo. They're all going, right, we got to get you out. There's got to be a way to get you out. And they try to put their heads in. How do we get him out? How do we get you out? I heard of something once. This is risky. It may not work. But I heard of a fish from another fish that did this once. It's called flush, rush, and you're out. And Nemo goes, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm looking for somebody too. We can look together. Oh, thank you. You're so nice. Oh, I'm Dory. I'm Nemo. Nemo. That's a nice name. And Nemo, well, guess what? Sea turtles. I met one. And they're 150 years old. Really? Yeah. Because Sandy Plankton said they're 350 years old.
I just always remember looking at fish and sensing how much light went through them. So that was one of the first things I sort of threw at them. I said, can we make that?
What makes fish look so different from just a piece of plastic, basically, is that there's several layers working together with light to create this look.
And for a long time, we didn't have a word for it, a phrase for it. And finally, I was just like, it's like gummy bears. It's like when you put the gummy bears, you can hold the light, and so it ended up becoming the catchphrase. We just call it the gummy.
Father Nemo, their illumination is probably 80% this gummy substance in them, and then we just augment the surface lighting to get it to look like, they've got some sort of surface on top of all that so you can read their face. Because if they're too gummy, then you can't see any detail, you can't read any expression. So it's like finding that right balance to get them to look like they're both glowy and readable at the same time.
Start, got the ball!
Hey, a game! Hey, can I play? Pick me! Me! Can I play?
Object is simple. Whatever you do. Okay, let's play. Here we go. Catch!
She's got it! Woo! Ah! We caught it! Woo! We caught it!
Oh, very nice. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not shocked.
Hey, what happens if you drop it?
Sucked.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Except bloody dolphins. Except stinking dolphins. Oh, look at me, I'm a flippy little dolphin. Let me flip for you, ain't I something? Oh, look at me, I'm a flippy little dolphin. Let me flip for you, ain't I something? Right then, today's meeting is step 5, bring a fish friend. Right then, today's meeting is step 5, bring a fish friend.
An important feeling of underwater, especially like World War II ships that end up at the bottom of the ocean, is that they rust and they decay. Smacking in of a huge great white shark into a door would release a bunch of sort of rust particles, silt, which would settle onto that stuff, would get knocked up, and the water would get a lot murkier locally in the area, and then you see the silt kind of puff up and then settle back out. The key thing about doing silt and making it believable really has to do not so much with how it gets kicked up, Dust also responds on top of your refrigerator. You smack top of the fridge, dust will kick up in the air. It has to do with how it settles out. And things slow down a lot faster in water. Water is way more viscous than air, as people know. And so when Bruce the shark knocks silt off a door or off the ground or something, as it is ejected into the water around him, it sort of flies in quickly, but then immediately slows down, is eased out by the water, and then gently settles out due to gravity. But once it's in the air, if Bruce's tail then sort of swims by and kicks it, it'll also react to that as well. Keeping track of all those dynamic interactions underwater is quite difficult to do. We spent a lot of time and attention to make that look believable. And when it's done right in a shot, suddenly that adds a whole different additional level of believability to being underwater, which is a key story point in the film. An exposure underwater has some different sort of properties than ones in air do. You typically get this fireball that goes big, gets small again, and leaves behind it a mushroom cloud of smoke that rises up through the water. Lighting also plays a huge component in connecting each one of the explosions to the ones that are local to it, so that when one of these things popped off, it would flash on all its neighbors, who would also then move them out. They'd pop off, they'd light the ones next to them, and carry on and so forth, all the way through the entire set until the whole thing is like one big popcorn explosion of red and orange and yellow and horribleness.
What did you think when you found out that a character had been named after you?
I think it's great. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. She's kind of is it the word villain? I have played a million practical jokes on Mr. Andrew Stanton, and I think it's just his way of getting back.
Klaus. Klaus and Pinata's drooping. No. Big money. No whammies.
Stop it! No!
These three tiki heads are actual caricatures of Pixar employees. Andrew was very clear that he wanted this shot like we've never done before at Pixar, and so we used an extremely wide lens, which allowed us to get the camera really close to everything in the tank, and we're moving incredibly fast through a very small space, hitting very specific visual marks to tie in with the story. In perspective, the shot also presents a difficult challenge insofar as there are setups for inside the tank clean, inside the tank with algae, outside the tank in the air, outside the tank in the baggie moving indoors and outdoors in several sets.
We used a tool called Pisces, which simulates the behavior of the fish. We would set up a bunch of basic parameters where the school would be, how fast they should swim, and then simulate and do iterations of that until we got something we liked. The number of fish that we'd simulate would vary from 5 for a little small school in the reef to a couple thousand for some of the big hero schools and background schools. There was a lot of simulations where we would put a lot of fish in and then just kill the ones that were misbehaving. So basically, hundreds of CG fish died to make this movie.
You wouldn't know how to get there, would you?
What you want to do is follow the EAC. That's East Australian current. Big current. Can't miss it. It's in that direction.
You wouldn't know how to get there, would you?
What you want to do is follow the EAC. That's East Australian current. Big current. Can't miss it. It's in that direction.
You wouldn't know how to get there, would you?
What you want to do is follow the EAC. That's East Australian Current. Big current. Can't miss it. It's in that direction.
We needed to figure out how jellyfish move for one, and that was kind of what this was all about. And this was also to figure out give them something to figure out all of the dynamics down below with.
We began by taking simple spheres, stand-ins for jellyfish, and sprinkling them in the volume and pointing a camera that direction. We had no idea how complicated the path was going to be from that attempt at a simplistic view of the set to fully realizing the set with all the jellies moving all different directions, the camera flying through that in 3 dimensions, with no reference for ground plane, ceiling, or walls, the characters interacting with the jellies being see-through, and the whole thing together became quite a mess to untangle.
Quite a Pandora's box, this little guy right here. But it was worth it because it's beautiful in the film. It's a beautiful scene.
One of the most important elements to make the tank look believable in the set that it was in was the use of reflections and refractions, looking from outside in and inside back out. Took both videotape footage, stuck our heads in tanks, stuck our heads outside tanks, and stared at the fish in the tank bed downstairs to really get a sense for how the image gets worked and distorted by the glass and water interface. The effect itself, the physics are well understood. To do it in computer graphics cheaply is hard, and especially to cheat it so we can control it, which is one of the key things about it. And so we weren't able to just duplicate physics directly. We need to put controls into adjust it and fudge it.
Where are you from, Dick?
Oh, you wouldn't have heard of a shark bait. It's a rough part of the ocean.
Where's the rough part of the ocean?
Use your tail. Your tail. It's called Bad Luck Bay. The place is sort of shaped like a human skull. But I got brothers and sisters. Let's see. There's Marco, Paulo, Lester, Linus, and Lulu.
Lulu?
That's your name. Don't wear it out.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock.
Bet the bandages come off today. Oh, they're not. Who knows this? Of course they will. It's Friday. Gil's right. All major revelations happen on Friday.
Linus, and Lulu. Well, hello there. And who might you be? Marco, Polo, Lester, Linus, and Lulu. Lulu, he chuckled. That's my name, said Lulu. Don't wear it out.
Let's see. There's Marco, Polo, Lester, Linus, and Lulu.
So they talked, and suddenly, whoosh, out came a giant
It was a swordfish, okay? The main kind. With one blue stripe down its side and one more ring side.
Good luck fishing. Shark bait. It's called Bad Luck Bay. It's a rough part of the ocean. It's sort of shaped like a human skull.
So what happened after I got stung?
I just told you. You had gotten lost in the jellyfish forest, okay? And I had to go find you. Are you still with me? So after I found you, you got stung pretty bad.
Lay down. Lay down.
You get lost, get found,
lay
get
down.
stung, ouch, ouch.
have to eat
Now
the
did you get all
food.
that? You still don't
No.
think you were listening.
Lay
Because you know when your
down.
eyes go past me like that, I have a hard time believing you're listening.
Lay down.
Oh.
Lay down. Just lay down.
Dude.
Just lay down. Just lay down.
Jellyfish. Intense, man. Dory, this is Crush. Crush here actually knows a whale. Yeah, we all know the whale, man. We used to be known for the whale. He's a very wise dude, man. Right now, the whale's like out there, man. Feeding, you know? Food for the mind in the silt world. Did you see that? So this lamp of a lighthouse is an actual lighthouse that exists on Thatcher Island off of my hometown of Rockport, Massachusetts. And it's called the Twin Lights. There's one on each side of the island, and there's actually one on each side of the lobby. There's 2 lamps. This is a historical building that is in my hometown called the Motif No. 1. It's in the harbor, and a lot of people come from all around just to paint it. So I put a painting of it in the lobby. This is the Aeolus 3. It's the name of my father's sailboat, and I'm embarrassed to say that it was the 11th hour when I suddenly realized I had not put that on any of the boats in the movie. So we changed one of the boats at the last second and got it in there. I think I would have been disowned had I forgotten that. Lobsters are abundant where I grew up in New England, and I know we're all the way down in Australia, but I just couldn't resist letting the lobster have a Massachusetts accent. Thus,
using the term wicked.
It's like wicked dark down there. You can't see a thing. How's it going, Bob? Joseph Eckers is one of our story guys, and he did research on this part of the world.
Relax. Take a deep breath. Feel yourself floating. Imagine the scent of lavender.
Okay, we're back, Dory.
Okay, we're still breathing.
No, we're not breathing now. We're back.
Balance the chi.
Dory, the chi is fine. We got normal chi now.
We are KU.
There.
Fail.
That should do it. And I just realized that we're being videotaped now. So, and when I say we, I mean me. So this is perfect.
Guys, a boy. Yay!
Don't worry, whales don't eat clownfish, they eat krill. Oh, look, krill!
Walt Disney Pictures presents a Pixar Animation Studios film.
My
Finding
toys.
Nemo.
Yay! We did it!
There. It's all right. It'll be okay.
When you're going to make computer-generated water, one of the problems is that water is really not one thing. When you look at a scene with water in it, there's the water surface itself, and then there's spray, which is really just small, loose particles. And then there's a transition zone where if you watch a wave as it comes up, it'll come up and break into little tiny particles, little blobs that still look clear. They still look like water, and then they fragment more and turn into spray. It's the believability of that transition that's the hardest thing to do right in computer-generated water. And the reason is when we model something with particles, the particles we use are bigger than the size of the spray drop, just because of the computational requirements. If you really wanted to do a shot like the whale tongue shot, you would really need billions of particles of water, but we can't do that. We can at most do millions. And so we have a lot of tricks that go into taking this fairly coarse-grained description of dynamics, turning it into a surface as the surface moves around, and then cheating the transition in various ways of the surface from a solid surface of water breaking down into spray and then splashing off.
We get a shot like this out of animation, right, that has no water, just the characters sort of holding on, and the director will tell us, oh, I want like a whole ton of water at the beginning, and it'll sort of ramp down over the progression of the shot. And so the first thing we do is we start out with these things that got dubbed ball pit windows, because it looks like, a big Chuck E. Cheese ball pit. The problem is, sometimes the water doesn't do what you want, right? And so we showed this to the director, and he's like, well, I don't think he could talk, if he was under that much water. And then once we get something that we're happy with at this ball pit level, then we'll go and we'll actually try to form a mesh out of it. This sort of takes all the particles, and then where there's a lot of particles, or where it really should be a solid mass of water, it gives us the solid surface that we can use. And then everywhere else, you get these particles. And we're pretty happy with how this looks. It's out of his face now, so you can actually read his facial expressions. And then it'll go to shading and lighting. It'll do this like fancy sort of transparency, actually make it look like letter. And then that's sort of what you look see.
A lot of people don't realize that seagulls actually speak in other languages than English. Mine. Meow. Meow. Mine. Meow. Mobile. Me. Moi. Kelly. Moi. Haken. Higamon. Nero. Moi. Monime. Romsa. In a big
Oh boy.
I think this was 3-1 approximately for footage that we created and then
We are
the shots that were actually used in the final film.
Incredible.
That needed to happen. Imagine just take off with Father and Dory and his beak swoop into the water and then fly around being chased by the seagulls.
Yes.
And what we did was we basically the harbor and then filmed it. Lots of ways, big wide shots, tracking shots, shots moving through the air, shots, seeing them go by. We just really went to town. The final scene in the editing room.
This is Nigel. He's a pelican, this guy. And figuring out how to make this guy fly is a mechanical thing because we're looking at these live action clips to see, well, how does the real bird fly? And then you want to plus the mechanics and you want to put in some character. You want to say, well, what is this character all about? Well, pelicans by nature are very kind of awkward creatures. They're incredible, but they're very awkward in the way they move, and they're very kind of gangly. So I thought, well, let's put some overlap into this thing and really make it a little more cartoony. You kind of come from the mechanics, and then you take care of it and acting, and you put all of that stuff together, and that's where the end performance really comes from.
No, it was coming down to that same issue again, that it was feeling like Nemo's story, because we were making a point of showing him overcoming a situation that he really backed off on in the past. It was also redundant, because he does that in Coco. And just the scene wasn't really doing anything other than being a bunch of eye candy and exciting with a sequence, but it was really just taking away from the forward momentum. He really wanted to get back to Father and see how he was dealing with it, realizing that he was too late. I think they see that as well.
Get out into hero shots and crowd shots. Justin and the whole crowd would get together and they would do the huge shots of fish from working them out or in the net. Most of the close-up shots were hand animated.
The net itself, though, is in some shots hero because we couldn't get that kind of close connection between net and fish without animating by hand. But in far shots is done simulated. But of course, the simulator doesn't do it all exactly right. Some fish have the tail sticking out, some fish get stuck outside the nets, they want to go back in, which is of course completely insane. So you have to kill those fish and clip those other fish off to make them fit inside the net shape. And there was a whole team of folks who had to work on that stuff with animators to make sure that the amount of activity of the fish, how anxious they were in the scene, how organized or chaotic they were, was all controlled through the scene across all those cuts.
This thing is looks over the mollusk and says, "That's not a barnacle, that's grandpa." So just then, the sea cucumber looks over the mollusk and says, "Not partially mackerel, wholly mackerel." So just then, the sea cucumber looks over the mollusk and says, "Hey, this tastes like carp."
At Pixar, it is a tremendous collaboration in making these films. We have such amazing artists working together to do these films. We couldn't do it any other way. Unfortunately, this past year, we lost one of our greatest collaborators. He's a great animator, a great friend, and a fantastic family man. His name is Glenn McQueen. He was the heart and soul of our animation department. We thought we'd cut together a little bit of Glenn for you to see what a great guy he was. Glenn is not gone from us. He's still alive in all of us. So here's Glenn McQueen.
Every film that gets released, I think of it as like, it's like you're planning a surprise party for the world, you know? Because no one else knows what you got here, you know, but you can like, you're gonna like, I can't tell you, I can't tell you, wait, I can't tell you about that either. And then, you know, whatever, November 12th comes along or 17th, like, there you go. Ah.
You don't think I've offended the Warriors, do you?
You? No.
No. Oh, good.
Peco.
You had like lightning in a bottle. You know, you had just the right kind of people who had the right kind of skills at the right time. Oh, it was surreal. It was like being in this awesome Hollywood dream. That's probably the most valuable thing that I've gotten from working at Pixar, forgetting about, you know, professional, being able to work on great films or whatnot. Just making
elegance, style, form, function. The Aquascum 2003. Clean tank living. The Aquascum 2003 hermetically sealed dual-phase motor technology is not for use as air conditioner, open fire pump, full sweep water purifier, or laser pointer. Not approved for freshwater fish. The AS2K3 contains a class 3 laser. Warning, laser beams may cause permanent eye damage. Filter canisters contain ammonium nitrate. May cause ichthyological diarrhea, scale wart, cankers, fish gout, and or bloatation. One additional canister filter supplied in EAG-compliant areas if purchased on third Sunday of the month. Free keychain on purchase of 2 or more at participating Fisher Remnants.